Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Pallas Dame. I am the CEO of Authority Establishment and the founder of the Conscious Leadership Network. And today I'm going to do a kind of a mini short about spirituality and try to do a little bit of a deep dive as well. Spirituality and the emotional healing to unpack the origins or invisible roots of our complex emotional wounds. So trauma. Something that all of us carry and may not even realize it. We all deal with different things in our life, the things that show up and hinder us from achieving our fullest potential, whether that's latent fears that we don't understand why we have them. Like it could be a fear of water, and we've never had a bad experience with water, but the last thing we'd ever want to do is go swimming. There could be a fear of a dog. There could be a fear of flying, a fear of going outside. Like, what are these things? Why do we hold on to them? They don't make sense, right? They can be considered mental illnesses or disorders or things like that. But when you work in the realm of integrative health, as I do, and then you go deeper into that realm of, we're talking about quantum medicine and the deep roots of spirituality and the trauma that we hold in our bodies, in the blood, our bones, our organs, our tissues, our energies, our energetic structure, our soul. There are so many reasons why we show up in this world and are challenged with these certain elements of things that tend to really hold us back. In order to heal our wounds, I really believe that if we face our fears, we can heal our deepest wounds. But to uncover those wounds, to unpack those wounds, that's something that is not something we can always do on our own. We live in our own body, we have our own experiences, and we have our own belief systems around that too. Like, what are we? Who are we? How are we showing up in the world? And the trauma that I have in this life is because of this life. It can never be because of anything previous to, right? But when we think of trauma and how it shows up in our world, it shows up, it manifests in states of disease, as you might, as one might say in the more traditional sense, or dis-ease, or the inability to be at ease in your body, in your mind, in your spirit, in the world, in any manner of speaking. And the trauma is fear that has been embedded in our body at different levels, either in this life or through our DNA, and patterned on the very, very basic foundations of who we are, and passed down generationally. Some people may have heard of generational trauma. And what does that actually mean? In the Muggle world, I might say, in the more traditional ways of looking at things, generational trauma can be, I was brought up in a family that had abuse through my active life now, through my father's life, and through my father's life, and so on and so forth. So that's one level of generational trauma that we can look at as patterns of behavior that are passed down through the generations, right? We witness it, we absorb it, we display it, we reenact it, and we keep it going. But then there's other ways to look at this trauma and the fear-based expressions that are held in our bodies and our body minds that are even deeper than that. And in order to unpack those things, that's where the realm of quantum medicine really comes into play, because quantum medicine is then able to unpack or really help the body or the body mind determine, what are you not? What energies are you holding in your energetic structure that are not yours? Like, as an empath, people who are empathic, people that are highly sensitive to those around us, to being in a city or a large crowd, or the extreme emotions that might come from our partner or those around us, and we are it's almost painful in order for us to experience that. That is an actual taking on of the energies of somebody else, of somebody else's energy. We all literally vibrate at a certain frequency. And that's physics. It's pure physics. It's not woo-woo. It's not crazy stuff out there. It's common physics. Every single thing on this planet has its own level of vibration. And like to break a rock, for example, if you're going to break a rock and you go to hit it, it's not actually the pressure of hitting the rock that makes the rock break. It's forcing another level of vibration on that rock that doesn't match the frequency of vibration of that rock that keeps it intact. And when you disrupt the frequency of that rock, the rock will then crack or shatter and completely break apart. And if you look at that in the realm of quantum medicine or in the realms of being empathic and taking on these fear and the trauma of people and situations around us, we're literally being impacted by different frequencies, different vibrations that are not natural or innate to our divine state of consciousness, our divine state of being, right? And so when we're talking about unpacking the invisible roots of our complex emotional wounds, it's so much more than just learned behavior patterns and the experiences of our ancestors in that way and what has been passed down over time. There's literally frequencies of experience that are then passed down and imprinted on the DNA and imprinted on the water molecules that create the life of who we are and disrupt our natural frequency. And so when I talk about unpacking those belief systems, unpacking the trauma that's held in our body, mind, and held in our energetic state, it's being able to work with an individual and help them, not necessarily consciously, but working in the consciousness, be able to remove or disassociate from the vibration, from the energetic suckers, I would say, that have connected to us over time, that have connected to our energy fields. And so for water, for example, it is a scientific fact that water literally has memory, and that when we're looking at the quality of our life and how well we function, we can also look at the water that we drink. Is the water that we drink pure? Is it spring water? Is it coming from a natural source that hasn't been impacted by the frequencies around it of chemicals, of things that are not natural to it? As a living sentient being, we are at birth about 90% water. At death, we're down to 75% or lower. But throughout life, our natural state of retaining water in our bodies is between 80 to 95%. 80% we're dehydrated. So we're literally sea creatures walking around that are maintaining our integrity through these molecules that have been scientifically proven to be imprinted with memory, be imprinted with actual experiences. And what that means is that you can actually do an experiment with water and put water in one bottle and water in another bottle. And when you put pure water in one sealed container and you play music that is, like screamo and super negative stuff and whatever, and you scream hateful words to this water, the water, given a few days with this repeatedness, with this repeated abuse, will then start to turn colors. It will start to degrade and decay. And you have the other bottle of water, the other vial here, that if it is cultivated with kind words, with positive, music, with things like that, this water will maintain its integrity. Now, if you think about that in the human body, you think about the water in the human body, where does our water come from? It's our energy source. It's naturally who we are. Is that water coming from an environment that is natural and balanced, healthy and clean? Or is it coming from a whole other system, like of whatever that is? Maybe the water that you're drinking is coming from a household where there's so much anger and so much abuse and so much whatever, and that impacts the water that you then drink and you're filling up your body with this essential part of who we are that is imparting an energetic frequency that is not natural to who we are. It is not our natural state of consciousness. And so we're now taking our bodies out of balance, out of the natural state of consciousness, and moving it into a very different, more pathological state, because our body's now confused about what we are bringing into it. Water is so much more than just hydration. It's information in the body, right? And so when we're talking about trauma and our ancestral wounds, and we think about what's gone on throughout the histories of our families, the battles, the wars that they've been in, the joys, the elations, the deaths, the loss of children, the loss of loved ones, the different things that have happened over the millennia. It's not necessarily a belief system. It is different frequencies that have been imparted on the water molecules within the body that are then absorbed into the body and the blood and the bones and the organs and the tissues that create the physical structure of who we are. And it becomes a state of confusion for the body, a state of dis-ease, an inability to be at ease, because we are not the divine nature of who we naturally should be. Because we're constantly fighting. I have some friends here. There's Xavier and Nisha. Hey guys, we're constantly fighting this pathological state of, we know we should feel better, but we can never achieve that state of balance. And there's reason for that. It's not always about mindset. It's not always about just getting out there and doing the right things and eating the right food and drinking the water and eating the, and exercising and whatever. We have to go deeper than that and really dive into the fact that there are energetic frequencies that connect and embed in our bodies and then are passed down over time, either in this life or previous lives. And we talk about the generational trauma. We talk about the water, the memory that's imprinted on the water, which goes into the DNA of who we are, of the molecular structure that then connects to, the egg and the sperm of what is going to then be reproduced over time. There's memories, there's frequencies that disrupt the natural state of who we actually are. And so in order to face our fears and heal our deepest wounds, we have to be actively connected to discerning, it's like the exploration of who am I? That's kind of the eons long, who am I? What am I here for? That's the wrong question to ask. It's who am I not? What am I not? And when you can start unpacking those, I am not this. I am not my abuse. I am not any label that we can say about ourselves. The more that you can unpack the things that we are not, the closer we get to the divine nature of who we are. We are, spiritual beings having a human experience. But even as a spiritual being, that's still a definition. It's still a label. We're divine in nature, right? And it's working backwards and unpacking all the things that have been put on us, that have been put on our literal energetic frequency makeup over time, over the millennia. Now, you say, is this something that I can do? Is this something that I can do on my own? Well, yes and no. I mean, it depends, right? It depends on your level of being of connection to yourself. But that's where healers come into play. People that have other skills and talents and abilities that can help you kind of be your guidepost to navigate this whole other level of healing and unpacking of the things that we are not, to get back to the divine nature of who we are. And as an integrative practitioner with my core practice in quantum medicine, in BodyTalk, and in another modality that I'm taking on called soul detective work, that is all about trauma, generational trauma, and healing. What's available out there to heal from these crazy concepts, these way out there states of being, these way out there, what she's talking about is absolutely crazy. Like, it's not, it's real, and it's what holds us back. It's what keeps us in a state of dis-ease, inability to be at ease, no matter how much therapy we have, no matter if we're given a drug, if we try to connect to our true spirituality and this and that. There's things that many of us just can never break through, right? And there's so much more to it, so many deeper layers. And the work that I do definitely touches on shamanic, spiritual, deepest soul level spiritual. And to be spiritual It doesn't mean that you have to have a belief system in a specific thing, right? But we're all spiritual, and we all know that there's something bigger. There is something more, and there is something greater, and connecting to that enables us to unpack what we are not. So anyway, guys, that's about it. I would love for you to join me over in the Conscious Leadership Network. It's a place for transformational practitioners, for disruptors, for people who are learning to challenge themselves, to grow, who want to be different, who want to make a change, who just want to show up in the world. And I have a tribe there. I'm building courses, and I go live regularly in a general community. There's amazing, amazing people there, amazing practitioners, and we would love to have you check us out. So that's it for today. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful evening, afternoon, and hope to see you soon.